Charlotte Soccer Show Premier League Supplement Edition, Visual Edition. We are on YouTube now. We've launched the channel. We're going to start to populate with content. And it's your boy Danny Brams. John Hayes is out and about traveling the world, so we brought in our man Matt Geslin, the third man in the mix, the man who has filled in as co-host admirably on multiple occasions, former Charlottean, unfortunate Chelsea fan, New York City FC season ticket holder, pretends to be for the crown when it's convenient, has been known to meet up on a blind date at a Charlotte FC game in the past. I'm talking about Matt Geslin. He who has now moved to Portland, but still has his heart here on the East Coast. Matt, good morning out there, and welcome to some Premier League talk on the Charlotte Soccer Show.
Danny Brams, thank you for having me. Yes, I don't know if that could have summed up a better intro for myself. I think I may have to take that one and use that. So yes, hit all the checkpoints. Feeling a little under the weather, so apologies. It is early out here on the West Coast too. So those morning kicks are always an interesting 4:30 start for some Prem and some Bundesliga, but we got it going for sure this morning. It's a good Saturday to watch some football.
Tremendous. Well, like I said, you are a Chelsea fan. Rough day for Chelsea. I see you got your morning coffee. That's good. You got up early to watch them just get absolutely housed. I think I want to say here for our first visual edition of the show, you're wearing the Chelsea hat and the Chelsea shirt. I mean, what? I mean, don't be that guy. You're wearing you can't double up the hat and shirt combo. You got to come up with a different hat. See, I got my Charlotte FC.
No,
but I have my Shotgun Willie hat.
It's a kit, Danny Brams. And sometimes, you've
gone full kit wanker on us, man.
Full kit wanker. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And that first half, I tried to give it something different. I went just the hat in the first half. May not wear this hat ever again after that. And then had to throw on the kit, see if we could change up that performance. That was a rough one to wake up to for sure. So not what we were looking for at Brighton. Obviously, Graham Potter's return back to the old stomping grounds was not a great welcome back for him. But the fans there, they got a show 4-1 at the end. Pretty awful performance from us, but give Brighton credit. They came out firing from the start.
I'd call it a great welcome back for Graham Potter to Brighton. Absolutely. For sure. It was probably everything the Brighton fans would have wanted. They got up early, nice goal from Trossard. You score an own goal. Chelsea can't get out of their own way. Conor Gallagher misses like a point blank shot moments after the second goal from like inside the 6-yard box almost. That great save by Sanchez. That kind of, you knew at that point that it wasn't going to be Chelsea's day, right? If you'd gotten a quick one back and it's 2-1 with an hour left, obviously anything can happen. But once that shot was kind of saved, I was like, okay. And then another own goal goes in. Although these own goals, they would have been scored anyway, right? Like these
for sure.
Brighton had goals. It was a beatdown.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, maybe the second one where, Ruben Loftus-Cheek got his knee in it, that might not have been an automatic tap in for Brighton. But yeah, I mean, the two own goals were basically going to be going in regardless. And then to your point, I think it was one of those days where you just kind of knew it, especially as a fan. Of course, that didn't stop me from punching my pillows and throwing things around the house. But, Christian missing a sitter off that rebound from Gallagher's shot going wide, a couple other opportunities, no runners, good balls played in the second half, especially after that first goal. Looked like we were going to kind of really put the screws down, get a second one, make it a really interesting finish. But again, to your point, just one of those days where just didn't happen. And, we tried it, gave it everything we can, and brought some subs off from to kind of, give us that second wind. But 4-1 in the end is honestly probably the appropriate result, I would say, based on the performance in the first half. Just didn't even look like we were in the stadium, to be honest, the first 15 minutes of that game. Mistakes everywhere and just turnovers left and right.
It's like they were back at Stamford Bridge, just call me Bart Simpson giving you the cake, at least you tried, and we'll throw that one in the trash. But I wanted to go off. One of the things that was funny was at halftime when I was watching it on the Golasso show. And so the halftime, instead of the studio halftime show, they played like a Chelsea documentary, and they're like, it was going through all like the misery of Chelsea in like the 60s and 70s. So I was this is thematically perfect. But you said you wanted to go on a rant before in our pre-show powwow here. You said, hey, I can't let you off the hook about Pulisic. What do you mean you can't let me off the hook about Pulisic? What, am I some kind of Pulisic lover? Like
no,
that I didn't know about?
I don't mean you, Danny Brams. I just mean the people in general. As you know, the U.S. fans have been just loving and as rightfully so. He's one of our better players, and you know he's
One
one
of our better players. That's funny.
Well, I mean, there's a group of them. You know, he's not the only one in that group, and you know, I think today was just a performance. You know, look, biased or not, because of my affiliation with the club as well as my affiliation with the U.S. national team. You know, I think he's going to be a huge player for us.
What is your affiliation with the U.S. national team? What's that word?
And I'm an American citizen. And hey, come on now.
Come on, yeah. Affinity for maybe affiliation with is a little strong.
Fair enough.
You know?
Well,
Sorry,
I would say it's equivalent to my Chelsea fandom, so it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think to your point, I think today was a great example of just why he's not in that elite class. I think, you know, he missed a very easy sitter from 4 yards out, which would have completely changed the game. You know, there were some moments watching it where, again, he gives effort and that's what you want. And that's why he gets a lot of opportunity. And you don't ever want to discredit someone for putting out the performance and the pace and running around. He was really one of the few guys that was giving it all. But, you know, you could see little moments, passes were just not connecting, or he wasn't reading the play well, or dribbling into trouble at times. So again, I don't chalk it up to the whole performance being just about Christian. This was a team performance from the Blues, and it was
a team non-performance.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
So it definitely was.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know,
Gallagher's goal should have been scored more than Pulisic's. I mean, come on,
100%.
That's like one of your young starlets.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's a team performance, but, you know, I just want, again, with everyone hyping and Christian deserving 90 minutes every game. And well, we're seeing it. This is not the first performance he's had the last couple of weeks where he's been starting or on the pitch for a significant amount of time. And he really just hasn't shown or shined as much as everyone believes he would if he continues to get playing time. So, well, again,
they've turned him into a wing back.
Right.
Is he, you know,
but where is his best...
one scoring chance not aside, is a wing back really his best position for a kid that likes to make runs across boxes and draw defenders? But I would argue with you, where is his best position? I don't know if we've ever seen that, really, to be honest. I mean, even at Dortmund, you know, Tuchel kind of played him a little bit in that wing back role at some points off the bench. So again, what is Christian Pulisic? He's not a number 9 by any means. So is he a false 10? Is he kind of like, where is his best position, I guess? If you look at Chelsea's formation they played today, as it's shown on SofaScore, it's a 3-4-2-1 with Havertz at the top, which I don't, you know,
I don't agree either. Yeah, no, he's not a striker.
If you look where Mount, and so it's like Havertz up top and then Mount and Gallagher playing behind him and kind of going crisscross, sort of like a triangle of forwards with the wing backs to provide the width. I think the problem for Pulisic is that his best position is where Mount is.
Agreed.
So it's really tough for him to get in ahead of Mason Mount in a lot of these lineups because Mount is such a golden boy, like, you know, Chelsea. They've had this affinity for him ever since he came in. He used to be the pet of previous managers. He's not quite as much of a love, like Frank Lampard used to just like, I think Frank Lampard thought Mason Mount was his young son or something like that.
100%. That was a weird relationship all around.
So that kind of established Mount as sort of like a head of CP in the pecking order of Chelsea, like from 100%. The very beginning. And I don't think he's ever overcome that. Yeah, and I agree with you. But I mean, we've talked about this at quite length between the three of us, I feel like, with John too. Like, do you think that if he goes anywhere else, I mean, where do you guys see him playing consistently at that position that is his? I mean, is it in the Premier League? Is it might be a Bank of America Stadium? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, where is it? I mean, bring him home to the USA. Yeah, why not? Sure, if we're talking about playing time and getting him experience, I mean, that's not a bad place to go. I mean, he's going to be the star player in that middle with Nuno Santos. I mean, that'd be a great fit. I feel like that's like an absurd proposition that we started saying as just kind of like a joke amongst ourselves. It's like, oh, CP13 to Charlotte FC, or CP10, excuse me, to Charlotte FC. And it's like every day it gets a little bit less trolly and a little bit more like, I know, more realistic. You know? I still wouldn't call it realistic, but it's kind of like oh, I don't know. Yeah. So well, it's almost it's like one of those chants of yours for Klopp being the US men's national team coach. They just if we keep saying it long enough, maybe someone will listen and make it happen. Well, that is a real chance in my book, because, you know, we'll move on from Chelsea and we'll go to Liverpool, who play later today after we record this. But we expect them to probably beat Jesse Marsh's Leeds United. I love what Aaronson's doing, another men's national team player that we can talk about. We figure Liverpool probably, let's say they get 3 points here. They probably, you know, if they do or they don't, it doesn't really matter. They're still a mid-table side at this point, but What do you think about the fall of Liverpool so far in this Premier League season?
I don't think you count them out. I don't think you count Leeds out today either, to be honest, especially with
I'll be
a
pulling for
loss.
Leeds for sure.
Yeah, no, of course. I think, losing to Nottingham Forest is a wake up. It kind of makes it realize that anyone can beat anyone. And we all knew that even in the Prem. That's some of the best parts of the Prem, is that any week anyone can beat anyone on a daily basis.
I mean, they're 13 points out of first for a team with a schedule,
yeah,
on
100%.
schedule to challenge for the title again.
The fall is different. I think that's a different conversation than today's game. I think the fall is really, it kind of can come down to, as much as we want to say it's not, Sadio Mane leaving. I mean, was he really that key cog for the front three of Liverpool? I mean, since he's gone, he's just been tearing it up at Bayern, scored again today.
Had a great game for Bayern this morning.
Another great game. He really was one of those pieces, and you're having a transition at the top where you're losing and kind of figuring out how to intertwine new pieces. Darwin Nunez is going to be a great player. He scored a great goal in the Champions League against Ajax the other day.
Also had a huge miss. But
he's starting to kind of get into that form. I think the bigger pieces in that middle section of the field and towards the back for Liverpool, injuries definitely account for that. But again, you're just looking at players like Jordan Henderson, who's great, but he's getting up in age. Thiago, same thing, great player, distributes the ball, but is kind of getting into that age area where, Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones are the future, but they're kind of early. They're still
not
early.
Now, yeah.
They're not there yet. And so you're really at a struggle point for Liverpool. I don't think they're going to be in the bottom half of the table at the end of the year. I don't see that. I see them making a run, getting into Champions League or Europa League football, European football of some kind by the end of the season. But I don't think they're top two. I don't think they're top two this year.
Liverpool and Europa would make my year. I would like to see them in conference, to be honest. Liverpool in the Conference League is really what I would be hoping to shoot for sure. You say the loss of Mane. I agree that Mane is great. They still have more goals scored than I think 4 or 5, 3 or 4. They're tied with 1. So like 3.5 of the teams that are ahead of them on the table, Liverpool has scored more goals. So I think it's more that midfield. It's that lack of cohesion, and they're just not good defense. They've gotten away for years with playing Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, Robertson's a little bit more of a defender, but Alexander-Arnold is not a true defender. And they have had those two guys as their fullbacks, but they're really just midfielders. They're just extra midfielders. And that's why Liverpool has sort of like always been able to flood midfield with ball possession and stuff like that. So that's how they've always been good. And they got away with it because they had Allison and Van Dijk, and they would outscore teams, even, and they would win games 4-1 and stuff like that when they were really humming a couple of years ago. So yeah, Liverpool's down. My boys Arsenal, a little bit of an embarrassing European diversion this past week, losing to PSG. That was not great, but we've got Nottingham Forest coming up this weekend. Game hasn't happened yet as we're recording this. It's actually on Sunday. Yep. I think Arsenal should be able to beat Forest and jump back ahead in the first place of Man City. I know you're a hater. I know you don't believe in my Gunners, but hit me up with your Arsenal Man City 1/3 of the way through the season takes here.
I'm not a hater, of course. Naturally,
you're a hater.
As a Chelsea fan,
you've been hating.
I hate. Yeah, sure. I'll say it. But I think let
the hate flow, man. You don't have to hide from your hate. This is the Charlotte Soccer Show. We talk shit on this show. We talk about what's up. No.
There's no. Hey, look, you guys are ahead of us. Spurs are ahead of us. I can't talk shit to Johnny right now, although I'll get there eventually. I'm not worried. We'll definitely catch them. I think this week was a perfect example for you guys of what you have to expect the rest of this year, right? Not having any European football last year for you guys was almost a blessing in disguise. No midweek games. You got to kind of get the system and what Arteta was trying to do in place. And obviously we're seeing the benefits of that this year with you guys being, fighting with City right now. Obviously they jumped you guys with a game in hand today, but I think that's just a different animal that you're going to have to deal with on a weekly basis for some of these young guys like Saka playing extra games, Martinelli, how are they going to adjust to that? So I don't take too much stock into the midweek game. Again, it was you guys already are advanced out of the group. So I'm not taking too much stock in that. Maybe it's a look forward to Nottingham Forest. Again, Nottingham, not that strong. You guys should theoretically handle that situation.
They did beat Liverpool. Yeah,
they did. So, we'll see how that comes out. And typically the Gunners have had a moment of what the hell type of stuff happened before. So are we in that phase right now? Who knows? But, I think you guys are on the up and up. I definitely see you guys finishing top 4. I don't I don't hate to, I hate, but I'm also realistic, right? You guys are definitely one of the top 4 teams in the league right now. I think you and City are going to be at it all season. I think there will be a point where City takes a little bit of a lead and you guys don't catch up, but I don't think it's a runaway
Wow.
25 point
That's
lead
hate.
this year.
It smells like hate. City's lost a game more recently than we have. That's all I'll say to that for sure.
Hey, but one team has done it. One team still has to prove it. Until you guys prove it, there's always going to be a little bit of a question mark. And again, I think you guys have a bright future. Arteta's clearly, crazy as his mid-game speeches or pre-game speeches
Love him. Guys.
We'll be fine. You guys, I think you guys are on the bright side. I think there's a lot of teams that have come out of a really dark place. You guys being one of them. I think United are looking decently. I think there's going to be a really good battle for the top 6 this year, especially a team that, no one was talking about earlier on in the year. That's really impressing right now is your Magpies. I mean, Newcastle just absolutely dominated Aston Villa today, and don't sleep on them, especially with what they can do in the transfer window in January.
Yeah, I called Newcastle in the preseason as sort of this is the team that's going to surprise and maybe make a push for top 4, top 5. I think they look really good. They smashed today. Joe Ellington scoring goals. Miggy Almiron, our MLS alumni, my former favorite MLS player back in the dark days when I cheered for Atlanta United. Kieran Trippier doing things. Yep. Bruno Guimaraes, who is another guy that I love just from playing fantasy soccer, and I always use him, and I sort of built a love for him, and I love watching his game. Is great. I expect him to be starting hopefully ahead of Fred on the Brazilian World Cup team. We'll see. Fred's been kind of clowning it around for
Fred just, I don't know how he manages, but he somehow finds his way onto starting rosters for everything. But
Bruno is the guy that Arsenal needed to sign instead of Albert Sambi-Lokonga when they were bringing over a French league defensive midfielder for sure. That was unfortunate, but I knew it at the time. Unfortunately, if the Arsenal would have called me, I would have said get Bruno for sure. I was pretty excited for him when he went to Newcastle.
Yeah, you've been high on Bruno from the start for sure.
And they're going to threaten for sure. I mentioned Trippier, and that gets us to a quick check in on Spurs. Johnny's Spurs. Trippier, a former Spur that is now starting to look really good, and you start to wonder why they get rid of him when they're struggling with some of their fullback play. But they got a goal from Sessegnon today, and after going down, John texted us. Right, he's at a family event, and he texted us, and he's like, "Hey, if Spurs lose this game down 1-0, and then they were down 2-0 eventually.
2-0,
He's like, Conte is officially teetering. And then all the fight back comes in. They fight back, win 3-2 with freaking Rodrigo Bentancur, they're getting goals from defensive midfielders in stoppage time to win games. I hate to see that. And they're all the way up to 3rd now, Tottenham is. So they're going to be a force to be reckoned with as well. Conte probably no longer teetering after stopping a 2-game losing skid.
I don't know. With Conte, you never know. I think he's going to be gone by January, if not sooner. Personally, I think there's knowing him personally, and not personally, but knowing him from his time at Chelsea and how he operates. I think what you're seeing right now in the press conferences and his complaining about the VAR situation out the other day in the Champions League and continuing to talk about it in his pregame press conference.
Which was pretty bad. Even as a Spurs hater, I can admit it was pretty rough on Spurs.
Yeah, no, it definitely was an odd call. But again, I was watching something the other day with these offsides, and talk about VAR however we want. When there's lines being drawn, they're not going to sit there and say, hey, that looks offside, but you know what? It's Spurs. Let's call it onside, or the other way around. Either way, right? It is what it is. It's black and white in this instance. And he's still talking about it. He's making an excuse, and that's how he is. There's always something festering with him. He's trying to leverage with Levy for something else. And I think he's going to be, personally, I think he's gone. I think Juve is in such a situation where a return to Italy would be what he's looking for. The Italian football is more his style. I think, Spurs they're getting lucky. They should have won the other night at the depth again. They pull one out today. They're not really playing great football. They're kind of squeaking by against teams they should really be taking advantage of, to be honest. And I think he's looking for a way out. I think you'll see more of this kind of anger and Conte type of frustration play out as we go. And I wouldn't be surprised. Now, they have the roster. They have a great set of players, some more depth. than they've had in the past. And I think it helps them get into that top 4, regardless if Conte is there or not. But I think that Conte personally will not be there after the World Cup break in January. So we'll see.
I give you credit, Gez, for only slightly sounding like a bitter ex there when it comes to talking about Conte.
Yep.
So yeah, congratulations.
Well, he won with us. He hasn't won anything with Tottenham, so I'll take that still. So
yeah. He won with y'all and still got kicked out, shown the door.
Yeah,
eventually,
shown the
right?
door.
Yeah,
That's how we operate at Chelsea. You don't win, out the door.
You're out. Yeah, even Tuchel. So
Yep.
yeah, so that's all we got real quick. Just kind of a quick roundup. We're going to be doing more of these on Premier League Saturdays. So we want to get one under our belt and get started. I hope anybody that gives a listen or a look enjoys it. And we're the Charlotte Soccer Show. We remain the Charlotte Soccer Show. We're going to look at everything through the lens of Charlotte and MLS and everything. But we love the PL too. And so we like to come on and talk trash about our favorite teams. We mentioned the World Cup. I want to quickly show, if I can figure out the share screen mechanics. This is a thing I'm calling the World Cup Fantasy Player Pool. It is a pool that I'm putting together. I run it on Google Sheets, and anyone can get involved. If you want the details, if you want to learn more about it, hit me on a direct message on Twitter, or you can email me. My email address is somewhere on this sheet. You can just DM me. I don't need to go into my email address right now, but it's pretty fun. You can see the scoring here, and this is a way for you to have players run in like a fantasy game all day during the World Cup. You just need to pick a team once, and then I'll run all the scoring and give prizes. There's a chance to win prizes every day. There's a big prize at the end for the leaderboard. So anybody wants to get involved with that, I highly encourage it. It's been a lot of fun. John and Rachel did this together when they first started dating, and it brought them closer, and now they're married. So, no promises or anything like that, but
Matchmaker
really,
Danny.
Yeah, really good times in the World Cup pool. So get involved. Just reach out to me. You got 3 weeks to get involved, but wanted to tip people off about that. And yeah, all I can say is I don't know if we should have our usual sign off or a different sign off. Do you want to test a different sign off line here? Or?
I have 2 questions quickly before we go. One is, what happens tomorrow to your Gunners? I need a score line.
3-0. They get on the right side of scoring.
I'll take it. 3-0. Okay. Secondly, yes, we need to do something about the tagline, but also we need to do our World Cup picks. I think we should put that together and see where we all net out for that.
It's way too soon for me to pick, but yeah, I agree.
Come on,
yeah.
no way. Just gut feeling about where things go. I know there's injuries.
You want a 1 month out, like early pick?
Yeah, who we get?
I can't pick the United States, so I'm going to go with. I think Argentina does it. I really actually think Argentina does it. One last ride for Leo. I think he finally gets it done. The reason being is not that necessarily they are that much stronger than they've been in the past, but I just don't see any like real dominant international team. I don't see anybody else. Like, people are going to talk about France and Germany, but I don't think that they're at their best that they've been in recent international competitions. Obviously very talented, but I like Argentina.
I'll take it. Obviously I'm biased. We'll go France, and we'll see where we meet. Could potentially play each other too. So
it'd be amazing.
But Danny, appreciate it. I like going, as always, it's for the cup. I think that could work, but I'll let you sign off since this is your gig.
I only know one thing to say: for the crown, baby.
For the crown, baby. See you, man.